Okay, so why don't you take a second, pause the video, try and do the problem, and then after you have attempted the problem, continue the video and we can look at it together. Okay, so this is a problem that requires you to look at some charts and graphs. So you can see the charts and graph are there on the left, the questions on the right. On the left, you have gasoline tax revenue as a percent of total retail gasoline sales in 2000. And on the right, you have the distribution of Germany's total tax revenue in 2000. So the question says you need to select all answers, all the answer choices that apply. And it says, based on the information given, they're talking about these two charts, which of the following statements must be true? Okay, so that must be true. Indicate all such statements. Okay, so here's the first one. In 2000, France's gasoline tax revenue as a percent of its total tax revenue was greater than 20.4%. Now you can look up here and you can say, look, this actually has gasoline tax revenue, and they're talking about gasoline tax revenue. But remember, what they're saying is gasoline tax revenue as a percent of its total tax revenue. Now this is gasoline tax revenue as a percent of total retail gasoline sales. That's not the same thing. This is Germany's distribution of total tax revenue. So this is the gasoline tax revenue as a percent of Germany's total tax revenue. But they're asking about France's gasoline tax revenue as a percent of its total tax revenue. We don't have a pie chart like this for France. We have one for Germany. And this is not talking about gasoline tax revenue as a percent of total tax revenue. It's talking about it as a percent of total retail gasoline sales. So this we cannot say. In fact, we don't have any information regarding A. B. In 2000, the price per gallon of gasoline was greater in Norway than it was in Spain. So now we have Norway and we have Spain. Now, this talks about tax revenue as a percent of their sales. All right. Now, but we're talking about the percentage. So when you have a particular sale, and then a percentage of your sale is your tax, right? That doesn't tell you how many you sold in general, and that doesn't tell you what the actual total price is in general. This is just a proportion. So you can have, for instance, Norway could be 70%, is 70% of the total 100, right? So this could be the tax, it's 70%, but the cost, like the cost for 1 gallon could be, $2 or something like that. Obviously, this is in Norway, so it won't be in US dollars. And then for Spain, it could be something like 62%, but it could be 62% of something that in total costs $4, right? So in this situation, the price per gallon is larger for Spain than for Norway, right? But it could also be the exact opposite way. It could be that this is $2 and this is $4. The percentages can still hold, right? Because percentage is not a measure of magnitude. It's a measure of a proportion of a particular 100% of something. So again, for B, we don't know. We just don't have the information for that. So now we look at C. In 2000, Germany's gasoline tax revenue was more than 3 times its tobacco tax revenue. Okay, so now we're talking 2000 Germany, and we're talking about tobacco tax revenue, gasoline tax revenue. We have tobacco tax right here. It's 5.6. We have the gasoline tax revenue. It's 20.4. So was this equivalent to 3 times this? Let's find out really quick. I'll just circle those a little bit better for you. So is this 3 times of this? Well, let's find out. 5.6 times 3 is equal to 15 plus 1.8. It's just breaking up the 5 times 15, and 0.6 times 3, or 5 times 3, which equals 15, and 0.6 times 3 equals 1.8. So 15 plus 1.8 is equal to 16.8. Now 16.8 is less than 20.4, so yes, it is indeed the case. The gasoline tax right here is over 3 times higher than the tobacco tax. So C is what we can say. C must be true. A and B, we don't know.